Yesterday, we asked you guys on Instagram to ask us any question you had, so we are here to answer. And we're gonna answer a couple of your guys' YouTube comments as well. Let's get into it. All right, this first one is by Bold LVT LLC. I want to learn to open lights and seal them properly. Well, as far as how we open headlights and seal them properly, I think we have a video on our YouTube about that. But what I look at is what kind of glue are we working with first off, and that dictates the time, the duration, as well as what temperature. So if it's butyl or like that boogery kind of glue, like some of the new Subarus are, I usually do that about 230 for 15 or so minutes. The one thing you have to make sure is taking all the screws out that hold the lens to the backing. If it's permaseal headlight, like a lot of domestic cars or European, I usually bake those at 240 for about 15 minutes, start to open it up and then put it back in for a second round. As far as sealing it, the big thing there is going to be consistency with the seal. So always use new glue. Butyl rubber sealant works awesome. If you put a strip of that all the way around the lens seal and then flatten it down with a flathead screwdriver after you warm it up a bit, it does a great job of getting rid of any sort of air bubbles and ensures you have a clean seal, not letting water in your headlight. All right, next one is OMG Chistom Just. Will you ever come out with stuff for the E210 hatch? I know y'all are mostly based around Subarus. So funny enough, I have a GR Corolla, and funnier enough, we actually have a set of E210 Corolla lights. They're just sitting on the shelf. We haven't done anything with them yet, but we do plan to. We have a little more time. So look out for that. If you have something in particular you want, we actually can make those right now. We've done a few sets before. Just shoot us an email, shoot us a call. Love to show you what we can do for those. Actually, here, link a photo in right here, Jordan. Pop one in, show what we got. Dat Infinity. Can you guys my headlights for my 2018 Infinity LOL? I'm not familiar with that model, the LOL. So these two kind of go together, STI 002.0 and Wayne D. Do custom headlights for Audis. Can you do all types of cars? So there are some cars that we don't like to do. The reason being is they either use a system that we're just not familiar with, and rather than just taking your money and running with it, we'd rather just not mess with that. So cars that have like a Limbus system or other sort of monitoring as part of it, we usually don't like to mess with those too much. But most Japanese cars will do those. We'll do most domestics. If you have a question about what we do, just contact us. We'd love to help you out. All right, next we have Sam Bodane. What is the highest output HID setup you've made? Good question. So I think probably when we were making a lot of like high output HID setups was pre-lumen detector. So it's a tool that I've seen like a lot of people in the industry use that measures how much lumens are reaching a sensor, and then it tells you in a number rating. We didn't have one of those then, to be honest with you. We still don't. Most of the time, a lot of people are familiar with the light output that certain modifications offer. It'd be cool to get one. If you guys want to see those ratings, please let me know. I'd love to answer your questions with that. But I would probably say like a dual Morimoto 5.0 setup was probably like a quad setup. So 4 Morimoto 5.0s all facing the front of the car. I forget which car exactly that was, but that was pretty gnarly. Besides that, we've done a lot of like 08 to 14 quad setups that have Morimoto 8.0 H1s with either a 4 TLR or a micro D2S for the low beam. Those are pretty beefy setups. But yeah, I miss doing those. I feel like we mostly do like a lot of aesthetic mods now, but light output mods are definitely a sweet spot of ours. Do you send to Latin America? Yes, we do. We send all over the world except for countries that we're not able to. We had an issue sending a package to Botswana. I guess like some couriers just don't go there. But if you have any questions about that, you can just check on the website. When you choose your shipping location, it should give you all the options where we can sell to currently. BRZ Lucifer has a question. Can we trade in previously bought hexes for different ones plus cash? OFC. If you have a product that you haven't installed, you are more than welcome to send it back for an exchange. If you want to return a product after 30 days, sorry, you have to deal with the devil on that one, boy. So yeah, if you have a product you want to exchange, not a problem as long as it's not used. Check the website facts section, FAQ. All right, the next question is from DJ Barney with some numbers. Where can I get an exhaust system for my 2015 Legacy B4? So based on some quick research, it looks like the only big company that's making exhaust for your car is Nameless Performance. A few different people sell them. We don't currently, but we plan to. So if you're looking in the future, circle back around, hit me up. Young Gun 7, will electric car take over? Now, I hope you don't mean in the sense of a robotic uprising and revolution. Now, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but will electric cars take over? I don't think it's happening in my lifetime. The reason being is I think a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford one. And even if car manufacturers make them cheaper, the only realistic price I see EVs getting to is maybe like $30,000, but for a lot of Americans, it's really out of the price range. So what I do see possibly be happening is maybe like some retrofit kits where people get electric components and put them on their car, or there's some sort of like hybrid system. But once again, I think for a lot of people, I mean, look on the road right now, there's probably like a junkier car. That's all that somebody can afford, a family can afford. And it might be, you know, 15, 20, 25-year-old car, but that's all they can afford. Is that person really going to have access to be able to buy a new electric vehicle? I just don't think so. So I think because of those reasons, it's just going to take a really long time. Personally, I love my ICV engines. Electric's cool. I think it's a really neat topic for future stuff. Electric, dude. All right, cool. Next up, we have Just Steve 82. Please come out with the lava version 2.0 taillight for the 22WX. Now, Steve, I would love to do that. The big issue prohibiting that is just cost. We are a small company. I know a lot of people think we're like this big, huge company. We don't have any backing. It's just me and the guys here just doing our thing. So we did look into producing like some of our own lighting assemblies, but unfortunately, we just don't have the money to front load and be able to do that right now. So yeah, we can do custom stuff. I'd love to do stuff like that in the future if we can get some Skrilla. Hit me, Steve. I can make that happen for you, dude. Just give me a couple $100,000. I'll make you a nice taillight. Tyler the Smith. Can I have a free set of headlights? Blown motor, got my pockets empty. Now, Tyler, I'd love to give you some free headlights, but my car has been down for 3 years getting a new motor. So I'm kind of in the same spot as you. So while I level with you, I empathize with you, I also cannot give you free headlights. I'm sorry. But if you want a sticker, dude, hit us up. I'll send you some stuff. Maybe a t-shirt. Tyler the Smith, hit me up. I'll give you a free t-shirt. How's that? All right, we have Who is BXTU? Sorry if that's supposed to be pronounced. It would be cool if you built a PC and a rim. Now, first off, I am an OS guy myself. I used to work at Apple, if you didn't know. Secondly, I have no idea about computer rigs. Dan over there, who does like all of our wiring, knows a ton about computers. He's built a few different ones and went to school for stuff like that. But this is not West Coast Customs. We are East Coast, and I believe that the salt around here would really mess that up. If you're just looking for a cool computer rig in a wheel, that'd be a cool idea. You should make one. All right, we got a cool question from It's Spoolie, which we've never really talked about this, and I think it'd be a fun video. I know, Jordan, you've mentioned this before. How did your company start out? Was it just one guy doing retrofits and it just grew? Yeah, it was me, and I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time. I wanted to do custom headlights for my 2007 STI, but I didn't want to send them out. At the time, it was like my only car, so it wasn't like my only car, it was my only car, and I drove a lot for work, so I just did them in one weekend. And then after that, I had a friend, Adam, that lived down there. He probably still does. He had an STI. He saw my lights. I did his. I had no idea that there was this thing called Instagram at the time. He actually got a pretty good amount of followers on. So after that, I created an account. He tagged me in it saying that if anyone wants headlight modifications, hit up Jeff. From there, I pretty much started doing, I worked full time, and I would do like 1 or 2 sets every weekend in the basement parking garage at our apartment complex. So I would go down there at like 2 in the morning when no one was out and paint away from other cars, I promise. And then when I moved back here to Rochester, New York, I started doing that same thing, just in our basement apartment complex, not in the parking garage, didn't have one. From there, it just kind of grew and grew, and we were able to hire some employees that helped build the company up from there. And it's been 8 years now, so pretty crazy. Actually, I'll put a photo of the first set of headlights I did with the date. But yeah, if you guys are interested in more of like the history of like Circuit Demon and how we got to this point, I'd love to make a video on that. If you want to see that, please comment below. And yeah, if we get a bunch of people that want it, I'll definitely make it. Look. All right, next up, we got my buddy Matt from the DC area, A13 Normal. What's the difference between aftermarket OEM, new, used headlight assemblies when you're retroing? So the big difference is the quality of the materials, and mostly it's like the density. So with a lot of OEM lights, they do use higher quality materials, which are usually more dense, which are less flexible. So when you're baking them, they're not as like wiggly wobbly. When you're putting them back together, it's a lot easier to push them back together and seal them because they're not fighting and kind of like bending against you. And when you're retrofitting them or doing any other modification, the materials being thicker helps with just the rigidity overall. I have seen some aftermarket headlight assemblies just be like the projectors kind of wiggle a little bit or kind of like bounce a little. It's just the materials are not as solid as OEM ones. Will you produce any headlights for the 17 Impreza by Stock Alfredo? We do have those. We'll shoot a photo in here of a couple we've done, but just email us or call us. We'd love to do some for you. This is a good one. Rodrigo EJ257. Why don't you do sequential headlights on Subarus? So I believe what he's talking about are addressable LEDs. Now these LEDs are the ones you've seen like do like rainbows and stuff. A lot of underglow companies use these. I would would use these for underglow. I would use these for taillights. I don't recommend these for headlights. And I'm literally looking at the product over here right now. We are making a video on why we don't use those and why you shouldn't either. It's up to you. It's your stuff. Go for it. But we just don't trust it. And we'll get into it more in that video. So look out for that one. But overall, it's just less reliable and a little unstable. As far as sequential goes for like turn signal, we definitely can do those, like switchback white to amber. Not a problem, just the rainbow stuff. We'll get into it. All right, next one is Asian Man 116. He asks, what size thickness acrylic do you use? So it depends on the project. Most of the time we use 1/4 inch. For that, it just gives better light diffusion. Seen like thinner acrylic, like you can see the dots of the LEDs themselves. It is like a little bit on the probably the thicker side that you would need, but for us, it really seems to do the trick. If you use a thinner one, it could be a little bit brighter, but overall 1/4 inch is usually the way to go for that stuff. All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in for the answers to your questions. If we didn't get to your question today, we might hit the next video. If you have more questions, please comment below or check out our Instagram. We will be asking those in our story. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.